Good morning from Bangladesh and welcome to the international podcast of Chattogram Television 24. In this podcast, I will be talking about the atrocities and war in Sudan. To talk about Sudan, let me set the scene first by saying that after the formation of League of Nations after World War One, there were significant expectations among the nations around the globe is that there will be some shift from war to peace, but the expectation have not been met, and we experienced an upsurge of World War II, and that World War catastrophically devastated human dignity and peace around the globe. And we maybe come to a point of understanding that we really need peace, and the United Nations have been formed with an expectation, a deep hope in the heart that there will be no more war in the world. Although it's not practical, but there will be a significant uh, decay of war and injustice around the world. But the established orders, the established international rules based values, and the concept of establishing a multipolar world have been diminished day by day. And we had experienced the Cold War, we had experienced the other wars too. But specifically, if we drag the mouse on the world map to the African region and Middle East, we experience that the amount of talk and discussions we did, the international community did in different fora around the world for decades after decades, it doesn't work the way it's expected to 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 be. But the only thing worked is the same rhetoric of atrocity, the rhetoric of destruction, the rhetoric of injustice, the established narrative of fighting and struggling for power in a wrong way, in an atrocious way. And I think if we understand that background, we can easily accept and see the realities on the ground in Sudan and also in South Sudan. As this podcast is focusing on Sudan, I'll be talking about Sudan only. Another important note is the Arab region and African region. Why these two considerations we need to look at is Sudan is an Arab speaking country, a Muslim majority country, especially now as South Sudan has got their independence. So South Sudan is no more a part of Sudan. So there is an absolute majority of of Muslims in the the present Sudan, and also Sudan geographically and ethnologically an African country with Arab speaking population and where 99.99% people are Muslims. And they follow a strict version of Islam, a very, non-negotiable version of Islam, which is really, uh, in many sense, not good for democracy, for in a rules-based world, in a world where human rights is a concern, women rights is a concern, labor rights is a concern, and protection of religious freedom is a concern. In such a world, the strict version of Islam is really really a major point of concern. So these are the backgrounds. I think I missed one another background, and that is the dictatorship of Umar Hassan al-Bashir, who ruled Sudan for nearly or more than 30 years. And in fact, in these years, he not only planted the seed of autocratic mindset in the minds of Sudan, and also he planted uh, the Sudanese supremacy, and also in some way the supremacy of Islamic principles and supremacy of the ethnic explanation, ethnic version of nationhood. So if this is the background, now let's come to the reality. The reality is two generals are fighting. Hundreds of thousands of people have been evicted from their lands, their houses. Hundreds of thousands of businesses have been shut. Hundreds of people are dying. Foreigners have been made left the country. And the country's achieved development have been expelled, and somehow the the shift from a dictatorial rule to a democratic society is now a bit or fully shaded by the darkness of military dictatorship, and also this fight. Number one, military dictatorship. Number two, this fight between the generals. Let's take the first scenario. If there is no fight between the generals, but still now it's a military dictatorship, and as a result, it's still now a dictatorship, and a brutal version of dictatorship because it's a military dictatorship. So still now there is no hope and light of shifting to democracy from dictatorship. The second scenario is now what's going on now on the ground is fighting between the generals. This is also catastrophic for the democracy. It's not a good news because the fighting generals are not only fighting between them, but also they are really uh, planting the seeds of division in the societies, and also some kind of future extremism among the young people, among the fighters. Once there is a peace, if the war is stopped, but still now it will take time for transition from the warring mindset to an inclusion mindset, because the party which will lose the fight, they need to be included in the process of democratization, in the process of solidarity, in the process of mainstreaming and understanding. So that will be also a cost. And I think this war has no solution to offer to the Sudanese people and also to the region, because it will affect badly the territorial integrity of Sudan in a way that they need to consider their relationship with South Sudan and other neighboring countries. And another news is the Wagner mercenary group is entering the country. Now there will be scene of polarization among the world powers like Russia, as Wagner mercenary group represents Russia, and also American security elements are entering into the country also. So if the war takes some new roads, as the war is now between two generals, if it takes some new roads, if it happens, and it will be also a bad news for Sudanese people. The another case is the mass migration of Sudanese people, internal displacement, and also uh, external cross-border displacement. So it will also impact the lives and liberty of the people of neighboring countries. It will put pressure on the economy of the neighboring countries. And the later point is the multipolarization of the war can lead Sudan, as I was mentioning about the territorial integrity, to be what I say a jackpot of the warring parties, like like Syria, as it has been torn into parts among the warring parties who were fighting against Bashar al-Assad. But at the end of the day, the warring parties are not even united, so that they have failed to unite themselves, they have failed to establish democracy, they have failed to restore law and order, they have failed to ensure basic human rights, and they have failed to establish the the normal life for the people, for the inhabitants of the region. So if Sudan has to accept the same fate of Bashar al-Assad or Assad's Syria, I think it will not be a good news for the neighboring countries, for Africa and for Arab region, because if the international terrorist groups, Islamic terrorist groups, can enter into the land and under the shadow of the turmoil going on in Sudan, if they start establishing another khilafat like ISIS, taking some parts of Sudan and taking some parts of other neighboring countries, it will not be a good news for the for the Sudanese people and also the people of Africa and neighboring countries, as because territorial integrity, if it once wrecks, it takes time to restore it. Like still now, Iraq is trying their best to ensure that their territorial integrity have been protected, and also Syria has the same fate. Afghanistan has the same fate. So my last fear is if the international terrorist groups can enter and can take a minimum role in the fight between the generals, it will be another very, very bad news for Sudanese people and people around the world who believe in democracy, who believe in peace and justice, who believe in human rights, who believe in women rights, who believe in establishing the rules based world order, and who believe in multilateralism in, in a way where territorial integrity have been respected, and also the, the respect to the sovereignty and non-interference have been protected. So these are my thoughts, and Sudanese people has no choice now accepting the reality, ground reality, and let's see what happened. But whatever happened, it will take time to restore peace and prosperity in Sudan again. Thanks for watching.